Hello, welcome, and good evening. Good evening to everybody. Welcome to the Revolutionary Spa. Your host, Sophia Sebi. As always, I am here to help, to educate, to inspire, to motivate our self-purposeful action. And that's the main reason for this particular show on UNN TV. Well, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. So good evening, everybody on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. And I welcome you all. Good morning, wherever you are, or good evening, or good night. I know the time in UK is 7:37 p.m. This is a slightly later than the show, the time of the show. The time of the show is usually around 6:30 p.m. So my apologies for showing up at 7:30. A little bit of technical issues, but all sorted. So I'm hoping that you will enjoy this show today. And again, just reminding everybody, it's not about the politics. We're trying to get away from the issue of politics. We want to be able to revolutionize our mindset. This show is about mindset. It's the Revolutionary Spa with your host, Sophia Sebi. And our topic today is about normal is not welcome here. We want extraordinary. If most of you have watched the Revolutionary Spa shows, we are now on episode 19. Go back and watch what it is. It was around, we started with our conscious mind, our subconscious mind. Why do we have act the way we do? Why do we behave the way we do? So I try to bring that perspective of the psychological perspective or philosophical perspective on life. Life, what is life about? What is the purpose, the meaning of life? And why are we here in the first place? What do we want to do in order to revolutionize ourselves for that changed Uganda, for that revolutionary Uganda that we want? So before I go any further, before going into detail, just a little bit of rundown of how our show will go. Of course, I welcome you, and we'll go into prayer, gratitude. We know the importance of being grateful, of being prayerful. And then we'll have a little bit of food for thought, my reflection on some of the things that are going on around us and what is it that we need to take care of. How do we connect the dots? How do those things impact our lives? We will go into our topic today, which is about normal is not welcome here. And I want to look at specifically the cycle of change. If some of you who have you may be therapists or counselors or help those people who are maybe in substance misuse, how do we sort of consider change, the change that we want? What stages of change do we go through? We go through about 7 stages of change. That is the psychological thought. That we go through about 7 stages, which I'll go into a bit of detail and sort of analyze what those stages are and where we are now. How do we know that we're not normal? We're not in a normal sort of circumstances, normal times. We want extraordinary, and revolutionary means complete change, radical change. Whilst before we go there, I'd just like to introduce our national anthem, and then I'll come back when we go into our show today. I'll spend about an hour maximum, at least an hour, through the show, run through it, and then you'll be able to go on to the next show of our evening tonight, which I believe is This and That. So welcome to the Revolutionary Spa, your host, Sophia Sebi. Thank you.
Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free
So welcome back to you all. This is the Revolutionary SPA, which is about self-purposeful action. S.P.A means self-purposeful action, and it's a show about our mindset. How are we going to change ourselves to be able to change the the people around us, or to change the world around us, or to change our Uganda, our circumstances, wherever we are, diaspora or at home? Because there's no point in saying let's change the environment when our mindset is still the same as it was yesterday, the day before, last year, or 2 years ago, 5 years ago. We evolve. So in evolving, we are changing our mindset. In evolving, we're supposed to be improving ourselves. So before I go into any today, I just want to first of all, praise the Almighty God for enabling us to be present and continue to grant us with good health, mind, body, and spirit. We pray for the love, courage, hope, and wisdom of those gone before us, present and yet to come. For those lost loved ones, so I would like to especially pay my condolences, I believe, to one of ours, Woody Williams, who lost his father, and all of you who have lost your loved ones yesterday, this week, last month. And we pray for those lost lives due to murder, torture, and any causation of their death by the greedy leaders. Those who are hospitalized or suffering from traumatic injuries, psychological and physical, especially sustained from torture, inhuman treatment, violence. Those wrongfully imprisoned, may they have a miracle that an angel visits to give them comfort, hope, and relief that their plight will soon be over. Remember, the miracle. Last week we were talking about miracles. Where are those miracles? Miracles is what you're looking at in the mirror. You are the miracle that you're looking for. And I would like to pay my gratitude to the UNN team back and front of house, especially the producers and all those social media warriors and those who donate. A special thank you to Victor Musoke for always supporting, donating to all the UNN shows, and all of you who, with your unwavering donations, so big up, and may God multiply your finances 100-fold. All of those who give their daily stars and those who anonymously give, every one of you who sponsors these shows, we thank you. Thank you to the UFCC chapters, of course, for the great discussions that you hold. Paul Chimbugwe and Madame Lee's Desire, the producers, Mr. Remigius Chintu, and all those guests and colleagues who provide. Thank you for keeping on, being consistent, persistent, remaining, standing and serving your country. So special thanks to our elders. Like I said, Mr. Remigius Chintu, thank you so much. And all those elders that I have not mentioned their names. I know today's show, there was a professor. So forgive me for not mentioning your names or remembering your names, but every one of you who frequents UNN, and a reminder for all of us that the revolution is not just in Uganda. The revolution is not just in Uganda. But before that, gratitude. Who are you grateful to? What are you grateful for? Who are you? What did you learn this week of value to you that you are grateful for? Just always remember to take a moment of silence each day to give thanks, not just expecting to be given, but reflecting on how are you going to serve others. If you would like same service or good service, people to serve you, and service can be monetary, can be through emotional or practical, how, first of all, ask yourself, how are you going to be improve on your service of others or your service to others? It is not just about taking, it's also about giving. And also giving by not expecting back. So I just want to remind you of those things, just that we never forget that we are not islands. We are people that are supposed to work together with those cogs. We are interlinked. No man is an island. So as I welcome you, that no more is not welcome here. We want extraordinary. And those things, when we do them intentionally, purposefully, we are able to be extraordinary. We need to be different from what we were yesterday. We need to evolve. The information, the knowledge that you hear all the time, that you've acquired on this platform, how do you use it? Do you sit and say, my goodness, it's very bad, the situation is very bad? Or do you say, no, I have to do something about it? Do you take inventory to do something about it? And not just lament or not just wait for somebody else to take the first step. But you too, you take the first step. What stops you from taking the first step? That is what is extraordinary. You taking the first step without expecting somebody else to always take the first step. We want to be producers rather than consumers. A producer, not necessarily of a product, but services. How do we become extraordinary? So when we go to food for thought, my food for thought, as I always remind everybody, and we remind each other, not just you, but myself as well, I remind myself that this revolution is not just a Ugandan one, but a worldwide. So wherever you are, question everything. Don't accept what you were told, but do your research. Do your research. Question everything. We can no longer, if we want a revolution, we can no longer sit by, stand on the sidelines. So if I could play this video, one video I'd like to play, and reflect on it. And what do you think? What do you think this should be? This is about the world revolution. It's not just the Ugandan revolution, but whatever is going on around us in the world will impact on us. So if I can have that video.
Is relationships.
The previous video.
I want to tell you today the biggest witchcraft is relationships. That are not fixed between you and your parents. There's nothing wrong with you going back to your mother's house and clean up the graves of your own fathers.
Okay, maybe we haven't got that video
clean
to play
them up
yet.
In my tribe.
But if we could just yes, okay, this is the video. Tell me what you think. Make your comments below.
Biomilk needs to grow mammary, Strickland says. First, biomilk needs to grow mammary cells at a much larger scale, at a lower cost, and convince regulators that the product is safe for our most vulnerable humans, Strickland says. Even if biomilk gets that far, the product won't be exactly the same as mother's milk, experts say.
Not all components of human milk are produced by the cells that are being cultured in these bioreactors. Most of the fatty acids, the fats that help brain development, they come from the mother's blood.
But Strickland believes biomilk's work can also help further our understanding of breast milk, and that could lead to new scientific breakthroughs.
Well, breast milk is a collection of many thousands of molecules that all have beneficial effects throughout the human body.
It's enough to convince investors, like Bill Gates' Breakthrough Energy Ventures, which hopes biomilk's product will be more sustainable than formula. Miller, too.
Well, maybe our video didn't complete, but anyway, we'll just go ahead. This video is really about sort of maybe a use of artificial intelligence, and the purpose is that we will not, they're trying to promote genetically modified, I would call it, genetically modified milk, and not, and sort of saying that breast milk is not the way to go. This is about sort of playing with nature. So we here, what is it that, why is it that breast milk is not good enough? This is similar to what we saw yesterday, the video of vaccinations, and that we need to have alien things put into our bodies rather than have the natural immunity, for instance. We know the benefits of breast milk. Why is it that we have to have something which is genetically modified, which brings on diseases? It's alien to our bodies. It's manufactured in a factory. We need to get away from breast milk. Why? Why would that be the case? So all parents out there that are not maybe taking on the breastfeeding and wanting to use the formula, I know some naturally may not be able to use breast milk because of maybe health issues. But if you're able to use breast milk, I think that is the best way to go, because it's natural, it's nature, rather than being dependent on artificial things, on genetically modified. Because all these things are reducing our life expectancy. So as you go on about your business,
first, biomilk needs to grow memory cells.
Sorry about that. As you go on about your business, just remember that question everything. Not everything brought to you is of value. Not everything brought to you is of value. So whilst everybody else is over there improving something like breast milk, which there was never an issue anyway in the first place not to have breast milk. But then you look at where are our priorities? What is the priority of the, powers that be? Is it human life or is it profit? Is it human life or is it profit? I think if we move on, it's just simply connecting the dots. Not everything that's on the shelf, not everything that glitters is gold, not everything that's brought to you supposed to be of value to you. It's not everything that's good for you, because everyone has their own agenda. Especially, I'm not going to mention names, there's a lot of profit. And who is going to be tested, to first of all try out this breast milk that's being manufactured? It's going to be us, the poor. It's going to be us on the African continent. That's where tests should be done before it's spread out everywhere else. What was wrong with the breast milk in the first place? There wasn't anything wrong with it in the first place. But instead, we're being introduced to a lot of genetically modified goods, products, and all these things are, instead of being of benefit, they're taking away our human ability, capability, that we can fight out. For instance, we can fight off any sort of infections. We have natural immunity. Why is it? And so when you look at us, we want to be sort of going into the glamour and glitter. Not everything that's packaged as gold is gold. You know how it is when we have a lot of fake gold or fake silver or fake this. My take on it is that this is all about, the fakeness, the depopulation agenda. And so it has to be, sort of brought in as a savior, the savior to bring into, solve a problem. But it wasn't a problem in the first place. Why is it a problem now? Why do we need to have manufactured milk and do away with the natural breast milk? I won't take so much. You all get the gist. You get to understand. And just wanted to answer, I think it was Musinguzi Joshua. Why am I not speaking in English? Sorry, in Luganda. Joshua, I am not speaking in Luganda because I can articulate myself much better in the English language right now, as I get to learn from the best, like Paul Chimbugwe, to be able to articulate myself in the Luganda language properly. I will be able to maybe converse or bring on a show in the Luganda language, but I feel much more confident in the English language. It might not be my language, but unfortunately, colonialism, and unfortunately, we've had to, learn in the English language. So if you do say that most Ugandans do not understand English, when the curriculum, the education system is based on the English language, maybe we need to think again, rethink education system. So I'm making no apologies, but I just want to explain why I'm not speaking in the Luganda language. Instead, I am speaking in the English. And I believe the people from the north do not always understand Luganda as well. So it wouldn't be fair. So I assume that because we are we educated from the Ugandan system curriculum, which is predominantly English, taught in English, we should be able to at least understand the basics. And I'll try to speak as clear as possible and maybe as slow as possible. Maybe you can understand me, I don't know, but you could go and rewatch the programs slowly by slowly, or get someone that can help you to translate what it is that I'm saying. All I'm saying is that we are in the revolution. Revolution means complete change, radical change of our mindset obwongo bwaffe tulina okubujja mu ndowooza enkadde to the new, to the changed, to the transformed. It's transformation. So that's essentially what the show is about. It's the revolutionary spark. So when you look at this picture, you look at it, we have here a mother in a small hut, and you can see, it was a picture that I took from a Twitter, I believe it was CBS. It was saying that poverty has been reported to be much, much higher. I believe it said 1 in 5 people in Uganda now in a state of poverty, and they don't really even earn 6,000 shillings a day. And that's 1 in 5 Ugandans. So when you think about the previous video about this development, or a lot of money being thrown into developing milk where there was no issue in the first place, because there's natural milk from the mother's breast, instead of having to maybe assist in making sure no Ugandan lives in poverty. Instead, we're having free vaccines. Why do we need free vaccines? What is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of having and everyone forced to take the vaccine, especially our children? Before the Ministry of Health goes on to want to force everybody to take the vaccine, or the child to take the vaccine, why wouldn't you look at people's social housing, people's incomes? Why wouldn't that be the priority? Why is priority about free vaccines? Who said that we needed these things? Instead of putting the money in healthcare systems, in social housing, social benefits, why are we having, free vaccines or extensive budgets to buy cars? So like I always say, we need to be part of the change that we want to be part of. We cannot accept normal. So normal is not welcome here. We cannot normalize these things. If we normalize these things, that is exactly what we're going to get. That's exactly what they want us to, to normalize. Normalizing what sometimes you get frustrated. Sometimes it's sort of, you feel like it's, you get demotivated to do. But regardless of that, regardless of how they want to push us and to the brink, to the limit, to the gutters, we cannot accept normal. It cannot be normal. We need to change our mindset. And once we change our mindsets, we are able to live extraordinary. I remember there was a show that I did, I think it was around December 2021. And this show was about my experience and how my mind saved me. It is really true. My mind saved me. My thinking saved me. So we too need to really think and radicalize how we think in order to change the way we do things, what we accept, what we don't accept. We don't accept poverty, so we shouldn't live in poverty. We shouldn't just accept free stuff. For what? What is the purpose? What did we do so good that you now, we now have people donating, the family planning, donating the vaccines. We don't need to be given handouts. We do need we need everybody to mind their own business so that they can leave Africans to make their own policies, Ugandans to make their own policies and change, instead of having a lot of meddling in our business. So how do we change our mindset? How do we live from normal to extraordinary? We need to think of, success. We need to be success conscious. We need to be success conscious So we need to sort of move away from being, in everybody's business. We need to think to move away from being sort of wanting to do everything and every. So, for instance, if you want to start a business, someone says, "Look, this business works and it's been profitable for me." What I tend to see is that most of us will run to that business, leave something that we are already passionate about. So hence the thought of be a master at one thing. We need to take to be a master at one thing to be extraordinary and not normal, because being a master of everything and a master of will be a master of nothing. Nothing. We will end up doing nothing. Like sometimes we do, instead of concentrating on the vision of wanting to change Uganda, but we just, or a vision of wanting to change people's mindsets or wanting to be the leaders that we want to see. We try to meddle in everyone's business. You want to comment on everything. You want to have a, there's a lot of us wanting to, you want to comment on someone's, for instance, someone's weight. You find it's on you. You cannot stop yourself because you want to meddle in everybody's business. If you minded your own business and stuck to the vision, the goal that you need to be, your own goal, what is it that you've set yourself to want to achieve? If you want to achieve, a goal in successfully going through your education, successfully having a thriving business or farm, or or growing crop, stick to one thing at a time. But being everywhere and anywhere, you end up being nowhere. So I think it's just a reminder that if we want to be extraordinary and not normal, we need to stick to one goal, one vision. As we move on, I wanted to say, how do we sort of help ourselves to be extraordinary? How do we become, the people that we want, that revolution that we want to see? How do we become that? We need to be success conscious. What does success conscious means? It means thinking about the success of what you are doing. Thinking about the success of what you are doing instead of being failure conscious, which is the opposite of success conscious, is failure conscious. You're always thinking about the failure of what you're doing. So as Africans, as Ugandans, we're always concentrating on the failures. Most of the time, we are concentrating on the failures, what we're not doing, what we can't do. How about we concentrate on what we can do? How are we good at using our resources where we are? And not always trying to think the grass is greener on the other side. Always the grass is greener on the other side. How about we start with where we are, what we have? What do you have as an individual? What do you have that you can make success conscious? You can be successful at? How do you change that cycle by being success conscious instead of failure conscious? So normal is not welcome here. We need to be extraordinary. And extraordinary means we need to think success conscious, not failure conscious. Before we go into a short break, I just want to remind you, I just want you to have a look at this video and think about your environment. Think about you. What do you do in your everyday life? Think about how do you show up when it comes to, let's say, your roots. Think about how do you show up when it comes to your roots. Do you take on the roots of everybody else, the other people, the West, all the time, and not be taking on your own roots? That will maybe get you thinking of success conscious versus failure conscious. When we take on other people's things, businesses, their passion, we do not walk in success conscious. We are always walking in failure because you're trying to pull and push because it wasn't meant for you. What you're doing wasn't meant for you. Have you seen sometimes people wearing different, sort of fashion items, and it's not for them? It doesn't mean that everything on the market stall, everything in the shop, all the glamour and glitter, it doesn't mean that it's for you. It doesn't mean you need to take it. You don't even know what you're taking on. Who made it? What was the reason of them making that particular thing that you want to take on and make part of your life? And then you wonder, why am I failing at something? It's almost like this education system where we are taking on the education system of the colonial master. And so we wonder why we're failing at not being successful, despite the many degrees, the many PhDs, the many masters that we've accumulated and collecting dust, all the accolades that we have on our walls. They're collecting dust, but we are still not successful at. And by the way, success doesn't mean money. Success purely means the realization of an ideal. Just like our Nightingale said, it's a realization of an ideal. And that is success in whatever you're doing. If you want to be a maid, be very good at it. Do the job. Don't complain. If you want to sweep the streets, then do it with a smile on your face. That is success conscious, because you know where you're going. You know your vision. You have it in your head. You know where you are going. If you want to go and be a house manager, and that is really what you're passionately about, then do that. It's not about wanting to accumulate money, the paper money. Like I keep saying, it's not about the paper money. Success is your ideas. And you might not have the material things to show for it. But if you walk in confidence and you know where you're going, you're very clear, you have a clear vision, that is being success conscious. But if you take on the things of the world, all the time wanting to jump to another business idea, business venture, because my friend, because my enemy, I want to competing with my schoolmate, competing with my neighbor, competition is a failure conscious. Because somebody else is doing this, I will do this like them. You cannot be, I keep reminding everybody, we are all unique individuals. God made you unique in his image, unique. You are unique in your own skin, in your own Africanness, in your own Ugandanness, in your own, I'm not a fan of probably weave-ons, or as you can see, I do tie my headscarf. Not because I don't think that maybe weave-ons, other people don't look good, because I've got family members who have weave-ons all the time. But I know it's not me. It does not show my best self. And that is part of success conscious. Failure conscious is trying to copy and paste. Copy and paste. Because you're not going to be your true self. You're trying so hard. You're competing all the time. So we will play this video, and then we'll go into the last last half of our show this evening. I do appreciate you all. Please, I am reading some of your comments, so your comments are welcome. Do suggest whatever you think that will be helpful or useful, a topic that I can research and come here and maybe be able to go through with you. By all means, do send your suggestions, sophia@getunn.com, and your comments and views are valued. Thank you.
I want to tell you today the biggest witchcraft is relationships that are not fixed between you and your parents. There's nothing wrong with you going back to your mother's house and clean up the graves of your own fathers. There's nothing wrong. I didn't say worship them. Clean them up. In my tribe, there's a proverb that says, never allow your son to marry a girl when you have not seen the grandfather's graves. Where the grandfathers are buried. This represents our history. The roots support the tree. The tree does not support the roots. If you water your roots, you will have fruits. That is the Bible. Honor your father and your mother. The only commandment that has an insurance policy. And your days will be many that the Lord will give you. Prayer does not substitute personal responsibility at a family level. I challenge this church to its roots. We cannot have members who are easily convinced that they must return 10% of their salaries as tithe and offerings, yet they are sending 200 rand to their own mothers and fathers. You are worse than pagans. Your responsibility to the church cannot be more than your responsibility to your own family. Because you want to bribe God and bribe angels so that you enter heaven. How can you say you love God whom you have never seen when you hate the parents who have brought you into existence? If your religion makes you look after it more than your own parents, the Bible calls you a non-believer, worse than a pagan. Go and read for yourself. We are about to fucking stop order. Do you have a stop order to your mother? Elders. You want to pay tithes so that you have an office in the church, is it? True African spirit says, take your responsibility seriously. That is first bus stop before you run the church. This is the reason why I sometimes say, if we're not careful, we're going to develop a cult. What is a cult? A cult is that which takes human beings away from their families and creates an artificial family somewhere called Adventism. All of a sudden, your parents are demons. Those who don't believe in Adventism have become Satan. We're nearly Adventism, we Adventists, we Adventists, we Adventists. Before you notice it, David Koresh came out of that ideology. Fascist, you keep on driving that agenda, you end up in the midst of nowhere, where you can no longer recognize your own family for the sake of the church. That cannot be African. Africans will start at home. And what religion is it that will make you divorce your own parents? Trees, you water. Hello? You water your trees. Whether ubaba uthenga icuba afake emakhaleni, water that tree. Whether your mother is a sangoma or mtakati or a witch doctor, water that tree. God is not a fool. This is the door through which you came into existence. The prayers of your parents are far much more important than the prayers of your pastors. When your parents wish you well, it will be well with you. When your mother goes "Mwah" on you, go and try. Go and try. Make deals. You'll come back home with pockets that have holes. Why? Because when you don't secure your roots, you can never have fruits on the top side. Fruits we eat. Enjoy life, guys. Don't be too tight. Only to
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Revolutionary Spar, and it's Sophia Sebi, your host on UNN TV or UNN Live. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and other channels. Do share the video if you think that this is useful or value. Do share, and if you don't think this is of value or useful to you, then please walk away. You have free will. There's somebody in the comments, I believe OC or something like that, about philosophy and jargon doesn't move a stone. Well, mind your own business, my dear. Mind your own business. If you don't find this show helpful and useful and of value to you, make your own platform. If this platform is not helpful, make your own. You are welcome to make your own platform. You have free will, remember? That is the problem that we have as Ugandans. We like to comment. We like to tell others what they need to improve on about their life. Yet we completely disregard our faults. Before you take a log, a speck from, before you take, as the Bible says, before you take a speck from somebody's eye, look at the log in your eye first. And this takes me to our next point that I want to make. Do you know there is a lot of cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance. And also, you are one of those people, I think, who has cognitive dissonance. People that have the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude change. When we don't change our attitude, we always blaming somebody else. This is the reason we are in the situation that we're in as a people. If we do not appreciate, be grateful to those who are of service, how much do you pay me, Osi? Anyway, I will come back to the show. I'm going to have some positive, not negative vibrations. So exactly what I am talking about here, or what the topic today, this cycle of change, this cycle of not wanting to take responsibility, this cycle of cognitive dissonance, where we have the state of having inconsistent thoughts, we have beliefs that are not consistent with our values, we have attitudes, the roots, on somebody's roots, and not wanting to value ours, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude change. Attitude is everything. Have you ever gone to a restaurant in Uganda and you ask for something, you're paying, but somebody else or the waitress is pulling their feet and looking at you as if you're begging? You are the customer, you pay their salary, but instead they're pulling their feet, kissing their teeth. This is the attitude. Our attitude is everything. Your attitude towards life is life's attitude towards you. It is not okay. Normal is not welcome here. If you want normal, this is not the platform, Ossie. We want extraordinary. And if, like many UNNians who have been here, who value this information, this lecture or lesson, they know what the value is. So if you do not know what the value is, walk away. There's so many other platforms out there talking about rubbish, dancing and singing and, talking about nothing and everything, not being a master at something, but a master of everything and being a master at nothing. So be a master at one thing. Be extraordinary, not normal. So normal is not here. When you have that cognitive dissonance, when you're in denial that your mindset is not helping you. Because if it was and you knew everything and all the answers, you would have changed the status quo by now. And remember, there's always two sides to the coin. But some of us decide to ignore intentionally the other side because we are selfish, in denial, we have pride, ignorance, just like Ossie. So can you go to the shop to buy goods with fake money or blank notes? That's exactly how your mindset is. You cannot have a blank mindset and think that you're going to bring about revolutionary change in Uganda, in our society. This is the sort of ubwenge that we talk about. The coin or the blank coins and the money, it has no value. The value is what's on it, what's written on it. You must have something of value in exchange for something of value. You cannot expect that you're here on the show commenting how it is not helpful or useful. What option have you provided? So you cannot be expecting something of value and have nothing of value. You must be willing to provide an option of value. If you want to receive value, what you put in to life, you receive back in life. The law of karma, the law of cause and effect. We therefore need to treat our lives the same way. If we want value, we must be of value to others. We uplift others, we not put down others. It doesn't take you so much to appreciate the work that somebody does or the work that goes into something. Even if you think it's not value for you, it's okay. You walk away. We uplift others. We uplift ourselves through uplifting others. Invest in yourself, invest in others. Like your time. It's not only about monetary terms. This is why we have the corruption that we do, because everybody's expecting the value of money. Money is useless if our mindset is not in the right space. Give without expecting. Be the miracle that you want to see. So bring a program. I'm sure, Mr. Paul Chimbugwe has been calling everybody to bring whatever they want to bring on the show so that we can learn from each other. But instead, we have really failure mindsets, failure conscious like Osei. No candle loses its flame from lighting another. You are not going to lose your whatever you want to do. You take action. We will follow. Anyway, I'll leave Osei alone. I have had my grant, I think, but I'm not normally this sort of person. But please, Osei, move on, okay? Anyway, recently I was listening to an Instagram post on Tuesday, 7th June. It was about a speech by Steve Harvey. I don't know if you all know Steve Harvey, an American comedian, and he has his own show, Steve Harvey Show, who said in order to get to who you are today, you had to get through every single thing you've gone through. I'll repeat that. In order to get to who you are today, you had to get through every single thing you've gone through. So in order for us as a people, as yourself, when you take inventory for yourself, to get through to who you are today or who you want to be tomorrow, you've had to go through what you've had to go through to teach you a lesson, to learn, to evolve. So all said and done, as we move through this quickly, because I know that the next show wants to start a little bit early. But as we move through, I just want to maybe touch briefly on the cycle of change. So when with all said and done, we have listened, we have put in the work physically, emotionally, psychologically, intellectually. We should be asking ourselves, what have I achieved so far? What is the end goal? Are we going round in circles, or are you going round in circles with your life? Or are you making progress? Where on the cycle of change, this cycle of change you can see in front of you, where in the cycle of change would you say you were, or we are as a collective? If I go through quickly this cycle of change, we go through 7 stages. In fact, the 7 or 6 stages anyway, as you can see in front of you here. We go through those stages in our life. Stage 1, we go through, we pre-contemplate. It's about pre-contemplation. It's about thinking about our problem. We all know what our problem is. We thought about it. In your own life, what is the problem? You've gone through that sort of cycle of changing in any aspect of your life. It could be health, be finances, be job, economic wise. There is something that may be an issue, but we don't feel we're impacted enough, or eventually really have it to be a, sort of a glitch. So in this stage one, there's 6 stages. So stage 1 is pre-contemplation. You can go and do some research on this as well. It's called the cycle of change. That it's usually used on me being a social worker. I have used this with the clients that I work with. I have gone through it myself. The stages of the cycle of change is pre-contemplation. In this stage, people do not intend to take action in the foreseeable future. And this could be maybe around 6 months. In this stage, people do not think that they have a problem. They could typically be referred via the, sort of the legal system, or be attending due to pressure from family, friends. They can be forced to see that problem. And then we have the stage 2 of contemplation, whereby people in this stage may be planning to change within the next 6 months, or at least recognize there may be a problem, but are very unsure what, if anything, what to do about it. So is this where we are? We in the contemplation stage? Are you in the contemplation stage, or are you in the pre-contemplation stage? Like most of our, how do you call it? The majority, I don't want to call them the E word, but the word, please remind me, the silent majority, that's it, silent majority, might not think there's a problem at all. Then you've got the contemplation, where in this stage, I've already gone through it. It's the stage where you're thinking, shall I, do I have a problem, do I not? And it can take you up to 6 months or so. And then we have a preparation stage. Is this where we are? Preparation stage. Is this a stage where we have decided to change? This is my belief, this is where we are. We've decided to change, but not sure how to go about it. Maybe sometimes we doubting ourselves. Are we on the right track? Is UFCC the right way, or is it not? But I know us on UNN probably believe that UFCC is the right way. This is where we are. We are preparing. We've prepared. We're willing to take action. We are. And then you go into the 4th stage, where it's taking action. We have decided how to change. If we could stay on the cycle of change slide, that would be great. So we in stage 4, we are in the stage of taking action. Here, people have decided how to change. Now they are trying to do it. We are trying to do it. And it might take this is the first maybe 6 months of the change. So we need to get from that stage to the next stage. What stage is that? Maintenance. In this stage, people have sustained their behavior change for a while. As we're here every day on UNN, this is a habit. You're here to learn, to take away, and this is where we are. We're maintaining that change, that mindset that we are going to change. We are going to have a revolutionary Uganda as we want it. We intend to maintain this behavior of a revolutionary mindset. It's the stage of maintenance, stage 5. And stage 6, which is the last one, it's about relapse. It's return to previous behavior. Despite our efforts to change, we can lapse. Just like you can see, we had maybe how many, 1,000 people in UNN, and then all of a sudden, this is where people are lapsing and not sure. They've had many disappointments. Change was supposed to come, but change didn't come. And this can occur at any one of the stages. So think about it. Go and do a bit of research yourself and see what stage within the cycle of change, what stage are you? And just to conclude, in conclusion of our show today, I appreciate you all for being here as we go on to conclude our show today. Just a reminder, even if, a reminder as we move on, even if you don't see the war against humanity, or in our case about the Uganda situation or Ugandan situation, it does not mean it doesn't exist. Even if you don't see the war against humanity, or in our case about the Ugandan situation of inequality, of corruption, of injustice, of torture, of barbaric treatment, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And remember, time is the only value you have, and you and I have no control. So whilst you're holding and working your hours and overtime, your time is valuable. So if you're exchanging money for your time and you're always working overtime, remember, it's never going to come back. Time is the real value. So take an inventory. And finally, as I conclude, finally, we go through, as I've said, time is the only value you have, and you and I have no control. And finally, as I go on to our last slide today, let's get radical. Everything you need is within your reach. You just have to say yes and let go. That is what's called living an extraordinary life. So I'd like to thank you. Just a reminder, spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially, or whatever it is, be success conscious. Build your wealth. Wealth is not about the finances, the monetary terms. It's spiritual, physical, emotional, it's psychological, intellectual. Learn something new. Take a self-inventory. Have you heard of the term mass psychosis? Whatever you watch, you see on social media, televisions, mainstream propaganda, whatever it is, what is it? Why is it important for you to know? What is the impact on your life, on our society, on humanity, connecting to the spirit, infinite intelligence? Question everything. Normalizing is how your brain, yours and my brain, are brainwashed. How Uganda, we are where we are today, brainwashed. We have normalized corruption, imprisonment, brutality by those supposed to protect us. So I remind you, go back and watch yesterday's show, Jacobuchu, if you haven't watched it, where you have the forced vaccinations without parental consent. We pay our abusers, paying a high cost of education. Why is the education system the way it is now? Do we need that education system? Do we need to conform? We need to live not normal, but extraordinary. So normal is not welcome here. We don't deserve the best, but substandard health and social care service, infrastructure, education system, roads, public services. How is the education system programming our future, our children? Is the system serving you or only serving those in it for profit? If it's serving you, are you seeing the results? Do you have tangible or intangible results to show for it? If not, what are you going to do about it? Will you be the pioneer to rethink education and be extraordinary? So remember, riches come with a state of mind and not because of hard work or blood and sweat. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. These are not my words, but some intellectual person. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I'll leave you there for now. Until next time, thank you for being on the Revolutionary Spa. Enjoy the shows that are coming this evening. Just remember, the change is in you. The change that you want is in you. Thank you. And have a good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Sophia Sebi on Revolutionary Spa. Ciao.